Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel today, and we're back from The Walking Dead Season 4/final season video. And in today's video, guys, I will be talking about my predictions, and some of you guys tweeted me on Twitter. I did a little tweet yesterday asking for some of you guys' predictions. I'm going to talk about all the predictions that have been laid out about potential DLC options for The Walking Dead final season. Now, I want to state right now, before I start this video, that DLC has not been confirmed. This, again, are just my predictions. If there is a DLC for the final season or Season 4, I just want to lay out some ideas I would love for Skybound Games to do if they end up doing one. But again, we're going to have to wait a long time if there is a DLC, probably, 4-5 months, most likely. Because, I mean, they're in their initial discussions right now. So let me down below in the comments your guys' suggestions for DLC for The Walking Dead final season. And hope you guys enjoy. And let's get straight into it. I sincerely believe that DLC is more likely than The Walking Dead Season 5. I really do. I think there's so much open threads that, especially with how I think Episode 4 was, majority of the player base enjoyed it. I think, even because it was a little shorter than the other episodes, I think a DLC would be perfect to add on. And this little picture here from the AMA, remember, between episodes 2 and 3, there was an AMA on the Walking Dead Games Reddit. Someone simply asked the question, will there be a DLC? And a response says, not currently planned, Ian from Skybound, the head of Skybound Games, but you tell me, should we do extra content, and if so, what would you like to see? Meaning, I've had so many people tweet me pictures of them DMing Skybound Games on Twitter, so if you ever have a suggestion of a DLC you want to show Skybound Games, go follow them on Twitter. I'll throw a link to their Twitter down below in the description. You guys can go tweet them. They're definitely going to consider it. They're in their initial discussions, I said, with feedback. So please send them suggestions. Let's start going to the predictions that you guys have and some of mine. So the first DLC I want to discuss is Kenny. It's something I really, really want. And I know Kenny is not connected with The Walking Dead final season / Season 4, but he is a major character, a fan favorite, and he has a mystery. What happened between seasons 1 and 2? How did he get out of whatever situation he was, whether it was with Ben in the alley or with Krista? Remember where he got Krista back up? And again, it was a couple years, about a year or two, so we'd like to see maybe if they could expand upon how Kenny got out, where we play as Kenny in between season 1. Maybe we meet Sarita, Walter, Matthew, all of them, and we get to know the backstory of that. Another possibility is something involved with Wellington, maybe with Kenny / Jane, where we get an answer to maybe what happened in between seasons 2 and 3, getting up to where, with House and all that with the group, how they betrayed maybe Jane and Clementine there, and maybe with Kenny, for example, if we go on the road or we leave him at Wellington, we can get some kind of DLC expanding on that. Personally, I'd love the season 1, season 2 Kenny DLC to kind of explain the gaps in detail. Since we didn't get Kenny's hat back, this would be awesome if we could get something of Kenny, because I think Kenny honestly deserved a lot better than what he got, especially with that season 3 crappy death. But this is my first suggestion. Let me know down below what you guys think of Ken. So the next possibility, I'm going to put two together into one. So I've heard a lot of people talk about where they want a potential 400 days DLC, kind of like how they had with season 1. And George had tweeted the following here. Maybe like a 400 days DLC, but how the other kids got into the school and when it's all complete, the apocalypse happens. Boarding school DLC, some time with the characters. And let me explain what I'd love to see. This 400 days DLC, 800 days, whatever they want to call it, I would love to have a DLC with the boarding school. It's my favorite topic that I'd like them to do, because I'd love to know the backstory of Marlon, how he assumed leadership, what happened to these 32 other kids that died. Remember, they had 32 other children that died in between this. I want to see how maybe before the apocalypse things had started with Marlon, Lewis, Violet, how they all got connected, and what happened when the Erickson, the leader of Erickson, he left. All the adults left. What happened with Miss Martin, her original story with all that. We get there's so much backstory they could do with this school. They don't need Clementine. We don't need Clementine. This is a perfect thing they could do. Explaining the backstory of the boarding school and how they got before the apocalypse. Maybe even after the apocalypse. How the safe zone came to be. Stuff with Sophie and Minerva. How maybe Marlon did the trade-off. Who would we play as? Could we play as Marlon, Lewis, Violet? There are so many ways they could go with this, and this is why I think this topic is my favorite and why I think they should highly consider it, because I think they could make a good profit, and I think it'll be an amazing experience, because a lot of the fans, they don't just love Clementine. A lot of people love Lewis, a lot of people love Violet, a lot of people love Marlon, and they think he deserved more. This is a perfect way to do that. So the next suggestion comes from my boy, Pony. It says, DLC about the war between Delta and the North involving Krista's return. Now, this is kind of like two topics into one. We'll go through two topics here. The first being Krista. Her story, I've talked about her like 4 or 5 days ago, where it's confirmed she's unknown. Really, and Melissa Hutchinson said she's somewhere out there in the universe. A lot of people think, because it was considered that she could have been the villain, but they picked Lily instead, that maybe Krista is involved with the Delta in the Community North war. Remember, Delta is in a war. They are fighting who knows how many communities, groups, and Abel, member, called that group the Delta's fighting sick Fs who make him look like the Virgin Mary. Could Krista somehow be in this group? Maybe not as the leader, but as a member. Very possible. And that's why I said they could even connect a potential, forget Krista. Let's have a DLC about the Delta. Explain to me the backstory, why they kidnapped children. Why is this war so bad? We've only gotten little bits and details from what Abel said, Lily said, and the McCarroll Ranch flashback that kind of showed us a little bit of the war, that the people in the ranch were, fighting off against most likely Delta members. I don't know who exactly was attacking it, but Clementine decided not to go to Richmond because it was such a war zone. And I think a Delta Community North war could be very insightful. Maybe we play as Lily. Playing as Lily would be an awesome experience. And that would be a great way to learn, the backstory with the Delta and all that. So this next suggestion comes from Lewis. Just made this a 15. Number 3 is the one I want to focus on. James DLC, The Whispers. Maybe we could get a DLC with young James, where we get to learn. We know the Whispers are such a big part of the TV series now. Maybe we get something with Alpha. That would be amazing, where we get James with Charlie, learning about why James, was his original bloodlust, his anger, slitting people's throats, how he got so dark and how maybe he reverted himself. Maybe we wouldn't even see Alpha or Beta in it, but seeing James' beginnings as a Whisperer and how he got to where he was, I think would definitely be another one. James is another fan favorite character that they could do something like this for, and I think it's no doubt a highly unlikely possibility, but it's something I think people would be interested, because again, it's connected with the TV series, because they're showing so much with the Whispers and all that. So one of the last ones I want to talk about is Xavier, Richmond. There's such a big emphasis now that it's been confirmed that Xavier is alive and that Clementine didn't return to Richmond, that maybe we can get a perspective from Xavier about how Richmond's been involved. Richmond's been mentioned by Abel, and a lot of people think Richmond could be fighting Delta, the Delta group. We know that, and it's something we all will like, because most people, despite not liking Season 3, A New Frontier, they love Xavier. And I am a huge fan of Xavier as well. I think having a backstory to explain maybe if Richmond's involved with this war with the Delta, or how they have gone on since Clementine left, would be amazing. Even a potential Season 5 with this, I would be down for. Because I think a lot of people, if the writing would have been better in Season 3 and some of the characters would have been, more relatable, connected, choices would have mattered a little bit more, I think people would have been more engaged. And I think enough people like Xavier. I always say, would you guys want to see Xavier again? And everyone's like, yeah. So it's like, hey, Skybound Games, give us some backstory about Richmond. We want to see Xavier. Maybe some of our determinate characters. That would make some kind of choices matter in the past a lot more. Since Season 3 really wasn't a big emphasis on this season, do something like that. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Thank y'all for everyone that tweeted me suggestions. Again, I might do a follow-up video to this eventually if we get any news on a potential DLC, but these are my initial predictions and some of your guys's. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys would like to see for The Walking Dead final season, this potential DLC. that could happen. Let me know your thoughts, ideas down below. And I want to thank y'all so much for watching, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Nothing could touch me.